It's Friday. You've made it to the end of your week, and I hope that you're well. It's very crisp this morning here in Virginia Beach. Sun shining, clouds are moving. But, you know, that ain't nothing new, because that's nothing but a reflection of your movement in your life. That's right. You know, yesterday I put a video out that I thought I released a couple days ago, and after I thought about it, I needed to put some clarity on something that I didn't mention. Because lately you've seen a lot of people talk about manifestation. And I spoke on it in the past. And a lot of times we get caught up in descriptive words and how it's set up to follow, you know, so that you can watch. And I've always tried to be transparent, you know, because as I'm blessed to see another day, another year, another moment, I see the value of my life, but I also see the value of my time. And I thought about it, you know, isn't that what we're supposed to do when it comes to our story? You know, our legacy. You know, isn't the greater scheme for everything? You know, because we are here until the story is completed. The task is done. And I know that with responsibilities, there comes distractions, as well as there comes challenges. And as I'm talking to you now, I'm just going to ask you this. How bad do you really want it? How bad do you really want your dreams to play out? And I convey this to you because the more that you see whatever it is that you hold dear in your spirit, you know, because you were born with natural gifts and talents. We can acknowledge that. But we also have to acknowledge the fact that with that, there's a burden that must be honored through the commitment so that that can be birthed out. And I thought about it I look back these last 6 months. And I've looked at everything. I've tried to take note on everything that I've been blessed to be present in. I've seen, witnessed, directly and indirectly. And it just gives me a joy in my spirit of, you're alive, you know? Not to be morbid, because unfortunately we know that there's somebody that's not going to be able to answer that question or acknowledge that statement because they're not here. So that in itself should be motivation, that no matter what you're going through, whatever it may be, whatever the challenge may be, whatever's on your heart, you know, traumas, past lessons. Just know this. All these things came to pass because it was what was needed to motivate you to get to this point. Now, maybe this point where you're at now isn't the end goal, but it's still a placement that you have a choice to acknowledge. I've mentioned in the past, and you've heard countless times other people say, stop living your life through the rear view of your life. Those are only lessons, knowledge, insight, which makes your wisdom for free will. But more importantly, that should just show you how special you are. No matter if you're in a place where you feel that you're appreciate it. If there's some insecurities about you where you feel that there is a void in you, where you feel that you got to go beyond the call of duty just to be acknowledged, let me tell you something. Because I got a feeling somebody needs to hear this right now. Whatever is standing in front of you emotionally, hopefully not physically, just know the more your foundation is, the closer you are to your blessing on the other side of it. That is nothing but an illusion. Now, you got to keep in mind, we only use 6% of our beautiful minds. 6%. But we can't gain knowledge. We can't gain access until we understand what we're standing on, what it means. Why is it being presented? So with that being said, you've got people that in their life, they feel that, and I'm going to pick my words very sensitively, they feel they believe that where they are, having the ability to believe is pointless. They are more objective. They feel that if I can't tangibly have control of it, it makes no sense. But when you think about that, how can you rationalize your emotions? You can't see your emotions. You can only gauge the effect of your emotions. That's because you're a spiritual being first, fam. That's why words have power. That's why when you feel safe, you feel strong. And when you feel insecure, you feel a sense of vulnerability. Now, with that word vulnerability, that is not a bad thing. That is not. Because you have to be vulnerable within yourself to love yourself. Because when you love yourself, you see your worth. You see your value. You see the importance of being. Now, I understand with the social narrative that has been, unfortunately, feeling like a sixth toe in the sense of not fitting in, you feel as if your life is obsolete. But I'm going to tell you something. Maybe you ain't supposed to fit in. Maybe the things you're not understanding are not the dialogue you were supposed to have to begin with. Maybe that was only simply a distraction. So you got to understand something, fam. I believe the Creator has your life already. Well, I know He does. The moment you took your first breath, it was written into prophecy. And that was the narrative of the direction your life is going to play out. Good, bad, or indifferent. However, no matter how many times those tears fall, no matter how many times you proverbially scrape your knee or you bust your butt, you still have the ability to get back up. You still have the ability to learn. And that's the beautiful thing about insight, because you're so intuitive, that we are able to learn from others and don't even have to be present. We can actually feel the effect because we're able to gauge from the experience. Now, yes, there's a responsibility in regards to what we choose to digest indirectly. That's why too much of a good thing is not good for you. But I really want to tell you, let me correct myself, because I feel it in me, and it just wants to come out. When you hear people say you can do anything, it's true. But you need to have a belief that you can. You must be able to understand what is logical compared to what is not. It means you got to be realistic too, fam. You got to be realistic. But the one thing that we can all agree is the payoff that is received is measured by the investment. So how much is your life worth? I think it's priceless. I think you can do it. I think that if anything, you may have to put your spiritual blinders on, because there are going to be countless people that want you to stay in place because it benefits them. That's why they come back. That's why they come back. And I say this with all love and sincerity. They come back because you are the illustration of what the example is. May it be love, may it be ingenuity, may it be creativity, may it be just being you. Please see the value of your life. Yes, I know when we were in our 20s, we believed we are bulletproof and there's no accountability, but that is why we've heard through the ethers that the things you do in the past have a way of manifesting in the future, because there is a price that must be paid to see the value of the choice. And with that being said, I'm going to say this too. Stop looking over your shoulder. Stop worrying about yesterday. Just know if yesterday was your reality, it would be your today. So that in itself shows that there is something better for you. But you have to be in position. You have to be ready. Because if you're not, it will be squandered. How many times have you seen someone say, well, I'm going to do this. Excuse me. I'm going to do this. And then there are plenty of people who say, no, you can't do it. And they stay the course. And then in the intended time or moment, the harvest comes. And usually when it does, they're the most sincere, humblest person you could ever meet, because they, at a minimum, believed in themselves. You can't build your life off of hope. You have to invest in it. You have to be realistic too. What you put in is what you get out of it. So you're going to hear a lot of people say, yes, you can manifest. Manifestation is real. It's spiritual. You're a spiritual being first. But everything comes from your heart and is gauged through your mind. And what is gauged through your mind is what makes your foundation. You know, that. And what you stand on will be measured in the test of times. That's why you hear too many people say, if you stand up for the wrong things, you fall for anything. Because what is required is you to be logical, to critically think, to cognitively assess and measure. That's why you hear people say, measure twice, cut once. So don't trip off of what you don't have right now. You claim it. And when you claim it, you've actually given it a placement in your spirit that it exists. You invest in that from your heart. And in the beginning, it may seem far, far away. As long as you stay the course, the closer you get. And when the work is done, behold, you've just stepped into your reality of your blessing. That's where that proverbial line of those who have compared to those who don't. Because those who do have that don't value the journey, they quickly descend back where they came from. Everything is about balance. But what should never be is the lack of not loving you. There should be an endless supply, family. Queens, for years I've said this. Stop waiting on your man. Prepare for him. And vice versa. Because guess what? That's what's going to attract them. Like-mindedness. Sure, opposites come in contact. But if there's no growth there, they won't stick around. And that's how opportunists, that's how they operate too, because they see from the first hello what you bring to the table. And they hope that you can't see it while they're there. And I say that with a subtle regret, because usually some of our greatest lessons come from disappointment. But guess what? That may be a blessing in disguise too. Maybe it's not time for you. Maybe the lesson that was required was for you to go in and appreciate yourself. Appreciate what you don't have. Because we can all agree, how many times we heard that people that have everything are miserable. Because you can't buy love. You can buy distraction. That's for somebody. So, you want to keep it real? Start with that person in the mirror. That's who deserves it the most. Start doing that work within yourself. Don't talk about it, be about it. And guess what? When it comes to change, you don't need permission from nobody. But they'll feel the effect when you embrace it. And I would be remiss not to say this. And those that are intended to witness that, they'll be the example too, because they exhibit that in their behavior. How they walk, how they talk. It is sincere and true. So don't trip. Don't trip on the people that ain't there. You might not realize that maybe some of those prayers that you've echoed in silence, maybe at night, maybe behind the steering wheel as you're going to and fro to your responsibilities, you ask for protection. And voila, it was given. That's why they ain't there. They were the footnote of that chapter. But trust me when I tell you this. Just as Natalie Stewart, you may know her as Floesis from the group Floetry, she said, it's better that they got a chance to know you than to be with you. Because guess what? Your example will transcend time. And when it's time for them to learn the lessons on this earthly realm, they'll think about you. You will become the example of what that example meant in a positive way. So don't hold no regrets. Do not have a judging heart. Your heart's too big. And you got a lot of love and compassion to give. Each one teach one, right? So if you want your dreams to come to pass, one by one, you know these big mouth, these lips are getting in the way. One by one, in the intended time, watch, they will come to pass. Because that's what manifesting is. Go within so it can be presented outside. So, from me to you, you have a blessed weekend. Keep your feet grounded. Speak your truth. Sidestep the negative. And of course, place him first and watch what he shows you in returns. Because you're worth it. Peace.